Everything you have been told about the moon for the last 53 years is a lie designed to make you feel safe. We call it a romantic companion, a silent gray rock, a poetic neighbor. But the cosmic truth is far more brutal. The moon is not a celestial body. It is a 4 billion-year-old crime scene, a massive radioactive graveyard of violent history. And when the crew of Artemis II swung around its dark side on April 6, 2026, they did not find a conquered frontier. They found a warning. For 19,300 days, humanity has lived in a state of collective amnesia. We look up at the night sky and lie to ourselves, believing we are still the conquerors of the dark. But the reality is, we are prisoners, trapped inside the safe iron cage of low Earth orbit. For more than half a century, no human soul dared to step back into the deep void. We clung to the faded illusion of continuous greatness, but Apollo is not an eternal triumph. It is a rusting relic, a fading ghost story. The brilliant minds of 1972, the engineers who carved a path through the cosmic fire, are either frail or entirely gone. Their blueprints, once the pinnacle of human survival, are now just decaying artifacts, suffocating under decades of dust. Apollo 11 did not prove our greatness, it only proved our luck. 50 years ago, we played a game of Russian roulette with the universe, and by some miracle, the chamber was empty. We walked among the craters during a rare, silent gap in the cosmic bombardment, oblivious to the bullets flying past our heads. But the universe does not offer second chances for free. Artemis II was not a glorious sequel. It was a desperate, frantic attempt to stitch back together a fractured legacy. It was humanity clawing at the walls of our own cosmic tombstone, trying to relearn how to breathe in a vacuum that wants us dead. As the Orion capsule crossed the threshold into deep space, the silence of the moon was not an invitation. It was the sound of a debt collector coming to settle the score. The clock is ticking. The luck has run out. And for the first time in 50 years, we are about to find out exactly what happens when the universe finally decides to stop blinking.
April 10th, 2026. Imagine 4 human beings hurtling toward the Earth at 24,600 miles per hour. That is Mach 33. At this velocity, the air does not move out of your way. It becomes a solid wall of fire. The exterior of the Orion capsule surges to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is half the temperature of the surface of the Sun. A sheath of superheated plasma envelops the craft, severing every radio wave, every cry for help, every link to humanity. For 6 agonizing minutes, Mission Control is blind. They are staring at empty screens, watching the clock tick toward a zero that may never come. And here is the cold, calculated betrayal. They knew. For 2 years, the engineers at NASA had been staring at the ghosts of Artemis I. They had the photographs, they had the data. The heat shield of the previous mission did not just burn, it disintegrated. Large chunks of the protective char layer had flaked off, eaten away by the cruel physics of trapped gases. The pressure had built up beneath the skin of the ship until the shield literally exploded from the inside out. A demonstrated, documented flaw that was never fixed. Yet they chose to fly. In the archives of fading cosmos, we do not call this courage. We call it the decay of institutions. We are witnessing the moment where bureaucracy overtakes biology. The decision to launch Artemis II with a known fatal flaw is the ultimate proof that our machines are no longer built to protect life, but to serve a schedule. The Orion capsule is not a triumph of modern engineering. It is a cracked ceramic jar carrying the last embers of our ambition. In those 6 minutes of total blackout, the universe reminds us who is truly in control. The ionized gases form a cage around the human spirit, cutting off the voices of billions. Inside the cabin, the crew can hear the shield cracking. They can feel the vibrations of a machine that is struggling to stay whole. This is not the sound of exploration. This is the sound of a species realizing that their protective shell is an illusion. The metal has no loyalty. The physics of heat has no mercy. And as the last piece of resin vaporizes into the darkness, we are left with the terrifying reality. We are sending our legacy into the fire, praying it does not turn to ash before it hits the ocean. We are merely asking the inferno to be merciful one last time.
But the greatest betrayal does not come from shattered metal. It comes from within. When we leave the magnetic embrace of Earth, we realize the most fragile piece of hardware on any spacecraft is the human anatomy. We imagine deep space as a peaceful, empty vacuum. It is not. It is a boiling storm of high-energy particles, galactic cosmic rays. These are not just invisible waves, they are subatomic bullets fired from the death throes of ancient supernovas traveling at nearly the speed of light. When the Artemis II crew crossed into the deep void, there was no wall thick enough to stop these messengers of decay. They pierce effortlessly through the heavy titanium hull, they pass silently through the complex polymer spacesuits, and then they burrow directly into the astronauts. This is the real biological countdown. Every second spent beyond the shield of Earth, these particles are literally snapping the delicate strands of human DNA. They are tearing through the bone marrow, dismantling the very cellular instructions that keep us alive. It is not a fiery, glorious death. It is a slow, intimate erasure. The universe is patiently deleting our genetic code from the inside out. We treat astronauts as heroes carrying the fire of humanity, but in the eyes of the cosmos, they are merely biological hourglasses, bleeding sand with every heartbeat. The crew cannot feel this radiation eating their cells, but they can see it. When they close their eyes to sleep in the pitch-black cabin, they do not find restful darkness. They see sudden, violent flashes of brilliant white light. These are not hallucinations, these are the actual physical impacts of cosmic particles striking their retinas or tearing directly through their optic nerves. Every flash in the dark is a tick of the universal clock. Every flash is the silent scream of a cell dying, a microscopic monument crumbling into dust. We dare to believe we can spread our immortal legacy across the stars, yet we are sending vessels made of water and bone to fight a war against absolute entropy. The flashes in the eyes of the Artemis crew are a brutal reminder of our strict expiration date. We are trying to write the saga of humanity on pages that rot the moment they touch the void. The universe does not need to launch asteroids to destroy us. It only needs to wait for our biology to surrender to the relentless silent ticking in the marrow. We look at the moon and we see a perfect, undisturbed museum. We comfort ourselves with the belief that because there is no wind and no rain, our footprints will last for millions of years. We dream of building eternal cities in the gray dirt. But the lunar surface is not a sanctuary for human ambition. It is a relentless, silent grinder. When the Artemis II crew looked down at the dark side, they did not see a dormant, dead world. In real time, they witnessed 6 distinct flashes of light on the cratered surface, 6 violent explosions. This was not a rare meteor shower. Every single day, 100 tons of rock, ice, and micrometeorites slam into the moon at hypersonic speeds. Because there is no atmosphere to burn them up, every single pebble strikes with the devastating force of a sniper rifle. The universe is wielding a massive eraser, constantly scrubbing the lunar surface clean. The moon is not preserving our history, it is actively pulverizing it. Let us tie a rope to the clock and pull it forward. Imagine the glorious future we promise ourselves. Gleaming titanium habitats, pressurized greenhouses, nuclear rovers crawling across the dust. Now, fast forward 1,000 years. The continuous bombardment never rests. It chips away at the Kevlar walls. It pits the reinforced glass until it shatters. It tears the lunar modules apart piece by piece. Century after century, the silent rain of stones grinds our greatest architectural achievements down into microscopic fragments. These lunar bases will not stand as majestic ruins for future alien civilizations to discover. They will not be pyramids in the desert. They will simply become more dust, blended seamlessly into the ancient gray ocean of regolith. The legendary footprints of Apollo, the abandoned rovers, the flags, they're all just waiting for their specific piece of space debris to annihilate them into nothingness. We are trying to carve our monuments into the teeth of a cosmic meat grinder. We are writing our proud legacy on a chalkboard while the universe is already dragging the eraser across the very same page. There is no permanent foothold in the cosmos, no eternal memorials. There is only the temporary illusion of survival before the dust grinder claims every single ounce of human pride back into the void.
So what do we do with the 5 discoveries brought back by Artemis II? The shattered polymer of the heat shield, the biological decay recorded in the organ ships, the ticking radiation in the bone marrow, the relentless lunar grinder, and the shifting maps of a moon we falsely believed was frozen in time. These are not milestones of a rising empire, they are the artifacts of a fading one. People look at these harsh truths and feel a paralyzing sense of defeat. They ask why we should venture out into the dark if the only thing waiting for us is an absolute and inescapable erasure. But here in the archives of fading cosmos, we do not look away. We recognize that there is a profound, tragic beauty in what the Artemis crew has accomplished. They did not conquer the moon, but they became the ultimate witnesses. For 4.5 billion years, the universe has been crushing planets to dust in absolute darkness with no consciousness to observe it. The cosmos is a silent, unfeeling executioner. But humanity is doing something terrifyingly beautiful. We refuse to be erased with our eyes closed. Yes, our most advanced titanium shields will eventually succumb to the plasma fire. Yes, our fragile DNA will snap under the invisible weight of galactic cosmic rays. Yes, every monument, every rover, and every footprint we leave on the lunar regolith will be annihilated by the relentless bombardment of the void. Our existence in this universe is nothing more than a brief, agonizing spark in an endless night. But in this fleeting moment, we chose to build a fragile metal box. We chose to strap ourselves to a column of fire. We chose to step out into the abyss purely to understand the mechanics of our own destruction. We are using our final breaths to measure the very forces that will consume us. That is not futility, that is the highest privilege of a conscious species. We must stop pretending that Artemis is the beginning of a galactic colonization. It is the beginning of our final testament. We are gathering the data, measuring the velocity of the decay, and recording the precise dimensions of our own cosmic tombstone. When the biological clock finally reaches zero and the light of our solar system fades into the forgotten dark, humanity will not vanish in ignorance. We will go out knowing exactly how the universe operates. We will leave behind a silent legacy that declares we were here. We were incredibly fragile. We were always doomed, and yet we possessed the audacity to look the void directly in the eye. Our true legacy is not about surviving forever. It is the honor of bearing witness to the fading cosmos just seconds before the eraser wipes the slate clean. That is the reality of the universe we are facing. Given the choice between rotting safely in the cradle of Earth until we are forgotten or stepping out into the dark to watch our own destruction in real time, tell us,
How do you want humanity's legacy to end?